want to talk about is what I've seen personally and through the Chamber of Commerce in terms of a commitment to community service that I have seen on the part of Hudson River Valley Resorts, chiefly through Tim Allred. You know, I remember joking once to my husband that, you know, if I knew nothing about this project, the fact that they would hire a guy like Tim, to me, speaks volumes. And he has been a huge presence in our community, not only as a developer, but as a good citizen and a good neighbor. Hudson River Valley Resorts, through Tim, has already made Williams Lake available to the community for a number of purposes. For example, there are many fundraisers that have been held there. We all know that there was a big fundraiser last summer for the pool, which raised $10,000 towards our new pool. There have been fundraisers for the trestle. The land is kept open or made available to college students from all over studying geology. This Saturday night, we're having our 4th annual Chamber of Commerce Halloween party. It's a community Halloween party. It is free. And I have to say it's primarily underwritten by Hudson River Valley Resorts. And last, of course, there's the rail trail. Now, all of these things have been done during the planning process, during the approval process. Why was it done? Because it was the right thing for folks who want to invest in our community. Before they put their money into our community, they put their time into our community on a volunteer basis. Not required, as far as I'm aware, as part of any kind of a zoning application. It's just being a good neighbor. I just want to add, I live now sort of at the northern end of the Williams Lake portion of the rail trail, and I can believe the amount of traffic on the rail trail. It was a portion of the trail that never saw any use, and now I see people there all the time. There are all these great historical and scientific signs up, which people stop and read about the bats, the mining industry, the history of Rosendale. It's really putting us on the map. So I just want to say that we have here a developer with a proven track record of commitment to our community. I think they're going to be good neighbors. I think they're going to be good employers, and I really look forward to the approval of the Master Development Plan. Thank you.
Next on the list is Stephen Kelley.
Thank you to the town board for the opportunity to speak. I'm Steve Kelley. I live in Clintondale, in Lloyd, although I recently moved there from Esopus, which is obviously a neighbor. I'm the CEO of Ellenville Regional Hospital down in Warsing, where we hope to redevelop a casino at the Nevele. I see a project like this as really a true renewable kind of project that will bring tourism to the area. It's renewable because it is not a changed use from the property. We're not plowing up farmland in a very real sense. We are reutilizing property for the same use that it's been utilized for a long time. So I see that as very environmentally sound. And I see it as good economic development because it brings money from the city, people from the metropolitan area to come up here and spend it in our community. Hopefully they come up here and spend some time in Rosendale and maybe down in Warsing and in the town of Rochester, Carl Chipman's area. And it's my hope that that kind of growth, which is very sustainable, doesn't bring a whole lot of people here just to come to visit and spend their money. I see that as really good for our community, and I strongly urge you to approve this. Thank you.
Michael Warren, Supervisor for Marbletown.
Supervisor Walsh, to the town board. First of all, I'd like to be here tonight as a neighbor, as opposed to a supervisor. I grew up in High Falls. I worked at Williams Lake. The importance of a project like this that treats the land softly, has the conservation, it has the vision for the future. What the Ulster County has always been is foremost is agriculture and tourism. Fortunately, agriculture has been going on quite good. It's been sustained. Our tourism over the years has dwindled. We have seen a resurgence. When I grew up, just like Carl, I worked at the Granite Hotel. I was making the money on the weekends to go to college, and that was very important for the kids who lived around here, because I grew up on a farm and I didn't get paid. But working at the hotel, I was able actually to put myself through college. So I think that was a great experience. But it also brings the people to the Rosendale Valley. This is all part of the Rosendale Valley. And this is very, very special. We're seeing a huge sort of a re-energizing of the Rosendale Valley. People from New York City are coming here, they're enjoying it, and they're also moving here. I have been a developer. I have a open space conservation subdivision at Dutchess Farm. I commend you on the process and also being open to change. I mean, I worked with the town on my project, and I got the input from all my neighbors and our citizens to make a project successful. And I think that's really the key to Williams Lake. It is the public input so that they understand what the land needs, what it can sustain, what people are going to feel about it, and what makes it special. I mean, years ago, I worked for Anita. Well, actually, I worked for Walter, but anyway. It is a special place, and I'd really like to see this come to being a first class. And that's what's important today in the Rosendale Valley. A first-class destination and housing. Town of Marbletown, we have Mohawk. You couldn't build Mohawk today. There's no way in the world we'd ever see a Mohawk again. However, this is very careful. It's very close to what Mohawk is. And you know what? It's going to become another special place. Thank you.
Thank you. Cliff Cooper.
My name is Cliff Cooper. I'm a senior industrial hygienist for a company called Vertex. My office is in Kingston, and I live in Ulster County, in the town of Ulster. Over the past 10 years or so, I've been involved with SUNY Ulster Sustainable Building Training Programs as an instructor for their 6-month Sustainable Building Design Program and for Building Performance Institute Building Analyst and Building Algorithm Training Programs. I've also taught training for architects and engineers in the current New York State Energy Conservation Construction Code. I currently serve on the board of directors of the U.S. Green Building Council New York Upstate Chapter, and I'm active with the Valley branch of the council. I've been a longtime advocate for better ways of doing things, for open and collaborative processes, for full accounting of the impacts as well as the benefits of our business decision-making, for recognizing the value of integration and fitting in with the community, and for triple bottom line accounting to include environmental and social as well as economic consequences of our decision-making. And for doing the best we can to ensure that what we produce from our labors is relevant and contribute to a 21st century sustainable economy and improve the environment we leave to our children. My knowledge of the Williams Lake Hotel includes cross-country skiing, the trails in the years that there was snow there, mountain biking, the trails behind the hotel, and renting Teddy Peck's gun range in the hotel facility for a time with my brother doing security guard training. I've been following the Hudson Valley Resorts project for several years now, and I've attended public meetings comments on the project, including meetings sponsored by our local environmental coalition. I've attempted to understand the substantive issues and the opportunities regarding this development and the substantive basis and objections that have been raised regarding the project. I'm speaking this evening to voice my support for the Hudson Valley Williams Lake Resort project. This is a good use for the old resort. In fact, I can't think of a more economically sound or better integrated project for the Rosendale community than this project. I have 30 years of work experience as an investigator witnessing the consequences of poor planning, poor design, poor construction, and poor operations of buildings and facilities. The Hudson Valley Resort's demonstrated commitment as core business values to sustainable development, environmental stewardship, and community integration is, in my opinion, is following best practice for a 21st century sustainable development. This developer has demonstrated throughout the application and the CEQA process their commitment to the community, to the local environment, and to the highest standards of sustainable site and building design, construction, and operation. Looking at this objectively, I think that the community of Rosendale will find that you cannot have hoped for a better commercial development to accept into this community. Thank you.
Thank you. Tim, you're on. Okay, next on the list, Mike Tucker.
Good evening. Thank you very much for the opportunity to be here this evening. My name is Michael Tucker. I live in Albany, but my family for more than 80 years has lived in the town of Rosendale, including 50 years on Williams Lake. I too worked at Williams Lake, and I also remember as a young person the vibrancy of downtown Rosendale with multiple stores and shops. And I learned something new tonight, that Rich Matthews was my grandparents' paperboy. I've devoted my professional career in the capital region in economic development, both in the public and private sector. And I head the Center for Economic Growth, which is the 11-county regional economic development organization in Albany, and serve on the Governor's Regional Council. So I've also continued to be involved in Ulster County and this community as a member of the board of the Ulster Savings Bank. I'm very pleased to support this project tonight and compliment the members of the town board and your staff and various town agencies, as well as the developers and the State Department of Environmental Conservation, but also to the citizens of the town and the neighboring communities for their engagement, all of your engagement in this process to bring the project to where it is today. I believe that the project master plan as designed not only has taken into account sustainable, smart growth, opportunities for sustainability into the future, but it also has taken into account the comments and ideas that have been presented not only by the professionals in state and local government, but the citizens who have participated in these processes. The responses have been reflective, and they have been, as has been said earlier, this has created a better project through this dialogue. But the time is now to move forward. The time now is to create the opportunity to move this project to a point where it can begin construction, where the jobs can begin to occur, where the local sourcing of goods and materials can begin, and where the town's tax base can grow. The project is very sensitive to conservation issues, including community-minded public access, which is a great tribute to the Williams family and their community involvement in environmental stewardship over so many years. I think that this, as has also been said, is a best-case scenario project. From a legal standpoint, it complies with all of the town's master plan provisions, and I encourage you to approve its construction so that I can send my name to Tim as one of those people who might want to buy a house in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Richard Travers.
Good evening, and thank you for this opportunity. My name is Richard Travers. I live in Accord. I'm president of the Rosendale Valley Business Association, and I'm here to speak on behalf of the Hudson River Valley Resorts and the Williams Lake Project. This is a vast project. It's a project that is sorely needed in the town of Rosendale, the Rosendale Valley, and the county of Ulster. The Rosendale Valley Business Association goal is to enhance the economy of the Rosendale Valley and to create the Rosendale Valley as a destination. There simply is not enough that can be said about this project in accomplishing that goal. This is good for the people of the town of Rosendale, the people of the Rosendale Valley, and the people of the county of Ulster. And I urge you to pass this. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Robert Carey, is it?
Good evening. My name is Robert Carey. I live in the Kingston area for about 36 years, and I've lived in Ulster County for the past 50 years. I have 4 children, and all have gone to college, lucky me, but all live away, all right, and work away from Ulster County. They live outside Ulster County. I have owned and operated a commercial construction business for the past 26 years, located in Kingston. We work on projects throughout the Hudson Valley. I'm also a runner. I have run in the Kingston Cross Country Summer Series for the past 30 years. Joe Keller was the race director, and 2 of the runs were at Williams Lake. Joe Keller stepped down, and at that time, the Williams Lake property was put up for sale. When the Hudson River Valley Resorts took control of Williams Lake, new race director Jim Kelley Smith at the time reached out to project manager Tim Allred. Tim wasn't so sure about a run through the woods and caves and along the Summit Trail, but he said yes, and he's continued to say yes over the past years. Not only that, Tim has participated in the runs at Williams Lake, which is no small challenge, believe me. I've been race director for the last 3 years, and I can tell you firsthand, Tim and his staff couldn't have been more helpful. They have shown, as the Williams family has shown, a commitment to being partners with the community. You're fortunate and lucky to have them. Recently, the Hudson River Valley Resorts have opened up a section of the rail trail to the community. The running community has been running on a rail trail for a long time, long before they opened these rail trails up. And it's been my experience, seeing how they've been cleared over the years, that they've encouraged a healthy lifestyle. You know, with the running, the walking, the dog walking, the bicycles, the horseback riding, etc. I think it's super positive. I see more and more people out there every time I go out to run. In the Rail Trails publication, there's a study shown about property values, okay, and in its relationship to its proximity to a rail trail. It increases as the closer you get. You're very fortunate to have this piece of trail incorporated into the network that Ulster County has been putting together. It's a very, very powerful thing. I think it adds value to the surrounding property owners and into the community at large. In closing, it's my opinion the Williams Lake project will be a big benefit to the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Christian Favata.
So I'm here as a bicycle shop in town. And the resort's not even done yet, and I'm already seeing benefits from it. I've developed a nice working relationship with them, and I've been able to put on the Williams Lake Classic mountain bike race for 5 years now. We bring in a couple hundred people into town for that weekend. They spend money at my place, they eat in town, they spend money here. This past summer, there was actually a national level race that brought in people from all over the country. So just having a place, a venue of that caliber to bring people in is a huge aspect to the project. And, you know, I make my living here. The more people that come into town, the better it is for all of us. And I support the project, and I hope it goes through.
Thank you. Carrie Wykoff.
Good evening. So I'm Carrie Wykoff. I'm a Rosendale resident. I also have a business based out of Rosendale. And I want to say that in Mr. Steele's opening, he said, we will source locally. But I just want to let you know that it's already happening. The marketing company is a Rosendale company. Graphic design is a Rosendale graphic designer. Building supplies, event producing, it's all happening from people who live right here in Rosendale. And when I do an event, I happen to do a lot of the event planning at the lake. I try to do everything I can to get as much as I can from our Main Street businesses instead of going into Kingston. You'll see from the Big Cheese, you'll see from restaurant owners that we go to them. We go to the Roundout Valley Growers Association for our produce, and we try to do the best that we can to bring the business to Rosendale. Some of the great events that I've had the pleasure of being a part of is the ice rescue training program that they do here on the lake. Wild Earth is running a program at Williams Lake. We've got geology students that come from different campuses, and they come to the lake, they live at the lake. They're able to actually learn from being on the property rather than learning out of a book. And it's amazing to see them have that experience. As it was already mentioned, the summer series, the Kingston Runners Club, also the Williams Lake Classic. We had the Wildcat 100, which was that national race that Christian just mentioned, that he didn't mention that he was the winner of the 100-mile race. And then we also have the Ulster Corps Service Sprint, which is happening this Saturday, as well as the Chamber of Commerce event, which Sarah also mentioned already. And then other things that have been supported by the Williams Lake Project, the Track the Trestle event, the pool fundraiser. They've also been a stage sponsor for Street Fest for the last handful of years. They've supported the Century House, Rethink Local, as well as the Rosendale Theater. And there's been a lot of talk tonight about tourism. And I agree, I think tourism is fantastic. Ecotourism is amazing. My husband and I, my family, we just went to Lake Placid. We were walking around going, wow, this is beautiful. Rosendale is this beautiful. Rosendale, although Lake Placid has this wonderful Olympics, history and all of that, Rosendale has that history. We used to be a training ground for the Olympic teams right here. All of that can be happening right on Main Street. And also, when I came back from that trip, I sat with Tim, and I told him about the Wild Center, which is an amazing outdoor interpretive center based in Tupper Lake that I took my daughter to. And I just, it was an amazing museum. It was so lovely, beautiful, whole day, acres and acres of outdoor experiences. And he said, that's what we can have here. And I completely believe that. Another thing I'd like to speak of, though, is personally, I grew up in the service industry. My father owned a restaurant. And recently, last month, we hosted, with Anita, she hosted a reunion for a lot of people that worked at Williams Lake. And it was a beautiful event at the lake. And to see these people who've worked there for decades, who have met their partners there, who have grown up with their families there, who, when you're in the service industry, that becomes your family. So yes, we want to serve tourism. We want to serve the people that want to come and visit Rosendale. But most importantly, we want to serve the people of Rosendale. And I look forward to my daughter getting her first job at the Rosendale at Williams Lake here in Rosendale. I look forward to us as a family continuing to be able to support this project, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Chris Beall?
My name is Chris Beall. I live about 8 miles away, but because of creative geographic aligning, I'm actually in the town of Ulster. I want to start with an item of a legal item. Although this meeting obviously attracted a lot of people, it did not comply with the legal notice requirement that was specified in the BLC PDA. That was a 10-day pre-meeting publication date. The actual publication did not occur until the 14th of this month in the Kingston Freeman. So I'm going to ask, obviously we're going to continue with this, that this hearing be continued again at the next regular meeting of the town board, which is on November 6th, because there were some people who did not hear about it until that later date, who may be able to come on the November 6th date. I am one of those people that Mr. Hakim mentioned tends to give thoughtful review to things. So rather than reiterate all of the advantages of economic development that this project potentially brings, I dug into the actual document. So I'm just going to bring up a couple of those things, and then I have written comments to give to you. With regard to fire access, the subdivision law in the town requires road widths of 24 feet. It's not clear whether that's going to apply the way this project has been structured, but I noticed that many of the roads within the project are less than that, as little as 18 feet. And I think it would be prudent for the town board to verify with local fire officials that that will provide sufficient access to all of the buildings on the site. You've got the smaller buildings up to 45 feet in height, and then a 5-story hotel. Also, the road specifications that are in Appendix E do not specify load limits on the roads. And I believe New York State law requires that the roads be capable of supporting certain loads. I know some of these roads are scheduled to be permeable roads, and that's a great thing, but I'm not sure about the load capabilities of those permeable surfaces. There's another conflict with the BLC PDA. It requires a 20-foot minimum front setback for multifamily dwellings. If you look at the drawings in Appendix E1, they show setbacks of, in some cases, as little as 8 feet from the edge of the road. I don't know if the drawings don't reflect the actual plan, but I would like you to look at that because it looks like the BLC PDA doesn't agree with the engineering drawings in that area. Finally, there's a comment on page 83 of your document that says that can't be 83, it's 23. Lake heat exchangers reduce the heat and cooling load on the hotel. The FEIS committed to 100% of the heating and cooling would come from those lake heat exchangers. There appears to be a conflict there. I'd like you to check that out. As I said, I have hard copies for you here. Thank you.
Thank you. Mourka?
I can rebut part of that, give an answer if you would.
No,
No.
you can make a
Excuse me.
statement yourself if you'd like to.
Sign up.
Mourka Mewyendorff.
Mewyendorff.
My name is Mourka Mewyendorff, and I live in downtown Rosendale. And I'm a proud member of Save the Lakes. 7 years ago, Canopy Development Company was in my backyard, and they told STL that they would start construction in 1 year. I'm very happy to be part of a very long environmental process that created some of the changes that we see now in the development. I would like to continue in this vein. The The language in the Master Development Plan continues to be vague with many typos and corrections, but it is particularly vague with regard to public access. Although some form of public access is required by the zoning amendment as well as the seeker findings, two major problems to public access still exist in regards to day pass users and swimming at Williams Lake. First, the Master Development Plan and the FEIS make no parking provision for day pass users. The closest official parking area for the rail trail is on Binneywater Road, just south of the Iron Mountain Facility entrance, about 1 3/4 miles from the proposed Fourth Lake Beach, where HRVR has said day passes will likely be sold. A hike of this length each way would be a problem to someone who may have difficulty in walking. To others, it may be an impossibility. Walking on Binneywater Road without sidewalks is dangerous. Second, fees for day passes are undefined, leaving open the possibility that they will be prohibitively high for most town residents. Swimming in Mohonk Mountain Lake is prohibitive unless a person has a room reservation, which is costly. If HRVR uses Mohonk Mountain House as a model for access to swimming in Williams Lake, it will certainly be prohibitive for most Rosendale residents. Now is the time to ensure that HRVR lives up to its claims made through the secret process of enhanced public access. This means, 1, determining where day pass users who are unable to hike will park. 2, establishing admission fees that are affordable to all local residents. 3, defining a process by which a potential day pass user can determine on a real-time basis whether they will be able to obtain a pass on a particular day without having to first travel to the site. Day passes will sometimes be unavailable due to the number of resort residents or guests of the residents. One possibility for day pass use parking is the existing entrance, south entrance to the Williams Lake property. I'm done, I'm almost done. Or the events parking area, which will have ample parking when no event is taking place. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Peter V. Fiorentino.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to make comments. I'm a Rosendale resident since 1997. I'm not a businessman. I'm not like some of the people who come up here with all kinds of credentials, business credentials. I live here in Rosendale, and I have a great interest in what's been going on with the Williams Lake project. My main concern tonight, echoing what Mourka just talked about, has to do with the public access aspects of this project. HRVR claimed that their project would benefit town residents by providing enhanced public access to the Williams Lake property. These claims are not substantiated by the submitted MDP, the Master Development Plan. Since no provision is made for on-site parking for day pass users, and the project manager has stated that this is intentional. The closest public parking lot is about a mile away from the property, which will greatly impede those who wish to visit Williams Lake for the day. Persons with disabilities will be completely excluded under this plan. Based on the MDP contents, it is apparent that HRVR is not truly committed to providing public access to day visitors. I also noticed that HRVR never offered the unused Williams Lake swimming facilities to the town on a paid basis as a substitute for the unusable Rosendale swimming pool. Rosendale residents have had no place to swim locally for the last 2 seasons and will continue in that situation until the $1 million+ needed to restore the pool can be raised. Furthermore, the MDP provides no information about the cost of a day pass, which apparently will be determined after the resort is operational. This is unacceptable. The MDP also indicates that day pass access will be subject to carrying capacity of the trails within the conservation easement and to priority use by resort guests and residents. Wow, there are more loopholes regarding public access in the MDP than in a truckload of Swiss cheese. HRVR should be required to allow day pass users to utilize the planned adequate on-site parking, particularly when no special event is scheduled. Fees must also be established, which are affordable to local residents, and the board must be in a position to review the proposed rates. If the town board does not rectify these obvious flaws and omissions in the MDP, then this document is nothing more than a sweetheart deal. And many in this town will simply say, shame on you. Thank you.
Harris Safier.
I guess I was counting the numbers wrong, so we're just... Okay, my name is Harris Safier. I currently live in Kingston and lived in Marbletown. The last 35 years I've been within about 8 miles of the Williams Lake project. I'm here today to support your approval for the Master Development Plan. I've worked with and attended many of the sessions that have been put on mostly by Tim, and I think I was a zoning board member in Marbletown for 20 years. I got to hear a lot of people speak on a lot of projects, and I participated in a lot of rezoning forums that went on in town of Marbletown. I think that the developers for this project have been some of the most responsive and responsible people that I've ever seen. They've worked diligently, I think, with the community. You all have before you a very critical job and a great responsibility, and I thank you all for the commitments that you make to the community. I know as a volunteer what that was like, and I know that the jobs are sometimes thankless on town boards as well as on the planning boards. Smart growth, in my opinion, is a balance between preservation of community assets and real community needs. There are good people on both sides of this issue. They've debated for 6 years. In my experience, compromise brings about great projects. And it's a very tedious process, particularly for both sides, actually. Those people who, bring up all the points that are opposed to the project or the changes that need to be made, as well as the developers who have a very great vested interest and have to stand before groups and be the brunt of some attacks in some instances. From what I understand, your comprehensive plan has 3 themes. This project seems to adhere very substantially to these 3 themes. I'd like to share also that as a 35-year resident and a realtor within 8 miles of this project, I see a great need and a desire for many long-time residents who would like to downsize and to remain in Ulster County without having to move south. Williams Lake would provide that opportunity for many people, and I've heard it myself, probably from 25 different individuals who are waiting very impatiently for a project like this to be brought to fruition. Whoops. I also see the need for our community to continue to bring new neighbors from outside of the area. As one who was attracted to Ulster County 35 years ago, I chose to make my life here because of the lifestyle that this area offered. I first came here as a tourist who drove up on weekends and visited during leaf season and saw a lifestyle that meant a great deal to me. I'd like to think that, like me, there will be other people that will be attracted to a project like this, will get to see Rosendale and the surrounding areas and choose to make their lives here. And we need new lifeblood brought into the area. So thank you very much for listening.
Thank you. Jeff Booz. Is Jeff here?
I'm Jeff Booth, a resident of High Falls, lifetime resident. I'm going to be speaking mostly about public access. The Williams Lake project is committed to the community and promised to give permanent access to the rail trail, working with the Wallkill Valley Land Trust, and we see this in place. Without that 1.5-mile section, we would have a trestle that goes nowhere. Now the trail goes 24 miles from Kingston to Wallkill, with great interpretive signs along the way about the cement industry that thrived here, as well as geological, environmental, and ecological signage. History of public access has been through mountain biking events, trail running races, and specific events and fundraisers that support our community. Some of these events include the Rail Trail Ramble, part of Track the Trestle fundraiser, Labor Day Swim, fundraiser for the Rosendale Pool Fund, and Halloween Haunted House, which is coming up. Events and fundraisers such as these support our community and will be an ongoing thing at the Williams Lake project. Through the years, many colleges have accessed the property for geological and environmental ecological studies. These practices will also be a part of the Williams Lake project future. I think it is safe to say that we all love the town of Rosendale and the Hudson Valley, with all the great places we have to access, such as Mohonk, Madawaska, Sam's Point, which are all protected as a preserve of our land and forever wild. How great is it that we can now include the Williams Lake project in that list of great places that we all love. I think it is a great time for opportunities and also a time to embrace this project and support the Williams Lake project and their commitment to preserving this great piece of property. With 411 acres of existing preserve and newly added 104 acres of DEC Wildlife Preserve, I know and believe the Williams Lake project is committed to conserving this great piece of property that has so much local history. We should be grateful that the property didn't land in the hands of an organization that would have been taken off the tax roll and, most importantly, jeopardize our access to the great piece of property. A lot of thanks should go to Anita Williams-Peck for keeping Walter Williams' dream alive. Walter had a great love for the property and would take guests on history hikes, talking about the great history of the land, and through these hikes passed on a walking tour of Rosendale's past. And he would say, history is not the possession of one man, it belongs to all of us, and it will be ours to enjoy forever with public access to the land. Future public access to the Williams Lake project, which is in the master plan, includes public access through a day-use spig to Williams Lake, the Great Trail System, as well as Fourth Vinny Water. This is something everyone brings up, public access to the future property. This is in the master plan and will happen. Being able to access this great piece of history, which is a huge part of how New York City got built, is something to be very excited about. There are ways to get involved by volunteering time in what is going to be a Trail Ambassador program, which is getting started in the next few months. Think of this as a time to embrace, support, and become involved in what future generations will thank us for. I am starting the Williams Lake Trail Ambassador Volunteer Program, and if anyone is interested in being a volunteer, please come up and introduce yourself. I support the master plan. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Marie Caruso. Thank you for the opportunity to submit comments on behalf of the Sierra Club. Unfortunately, because of the illegally short notice of this hearing, a number of people were unable to attend, including our Sierra Club attorney, who was unable to change his travel plans on short notice. We therefore ask for for a continuance of this hearing to a later date. Another procedural error that we've discovered that in violation of the Transportation Corporations Law, the town board consented to HRVR's formation of a sewer works corporation, apparently prior to approval of the maps and specifications of the sewer system by the Ulster County Department of Health. We urge you to rescind this approval. A letter from our attorney will be forthcoming on this. I have written comments. I'm just going to try to excerpt them. We believe that the MDP fails to conform with the zoning amendment because it fails to provide the public access required by that document, which provides for public access to Williams Lake, Fourth Binwater Lake, and lands protected by conservation easement, whether free or via a fee day pass or some other method as may be applicable. Throughout the secret process, HRVR made repeated claims that their project would benefit town residents by providing enhanced public access to the Williams Lake property. But the MDP does not provide a feasible plan for local residents to access the property. Mainly because no provision is made for parking on site, as several people have mentioned. The property manager has stated that this is intentional. And since the nearest parking lot is 3/4 of a mile from the southern boundary of the property, this will impede access for a substantial portion of the Rosendale community and other local visitors. Even those who simply want to visit the interpretive center would have to walk close to a mile to get there, and farther than that to propose a swimming area. Now, this represents a greatly diminished public access from the conditions when the former resort was operational, when local people parked on site for hiking, swimming, cross-country skiing, and other activities. Now, we do note that the plans in the MDP indicate that there should be sufficient on-site resort parking to accommodate a number of day pass users. 420 parking spaces are planned in the resort area, including 86 for special events, which is more than twice as many as the zoning code requires. Page 48 of the MDP. HRVR should be required to allow day pass users to utilize this on-site parking, particularly when no special event is scheduled. The lack of information about the cost of a day pass is also unacceptable. If HRVR is to live up to its oft-repeated promises of enhanced public access, fees must be established which are affordable to local residents, and the board must be in a position to review the proposed rates. The Mohawk Preserve might be an acceptable model. Mohawk Preserve membership costs $45 to $55 per adult per year, with discounted fees for additional household members and children. The day use fee, $12 per day that Mohawk charges, should be somewhat less at Williams Lake. HRVR also needs to present a plan for how the carrying capacity of trails will be established and how local residents will be notified of the days when the property is closed to them. It would unfairly waste residents' time and energy to have to travel to the site only to learn that it is closed. We feel that the town board must require HRVR to integrate into the MDP detailed plan showing how local residents will be able to access the site. Thank you.
Jen Metzger.
Hi, thanks for the opportunity to comment. I wouldn't be me without making some suggestions. I'm going to provide written comments, and I'm just going to touch on a few of the main points. First, I understand that, many of the details are going to be hammered out in the site plan and subdivision review process. But the master plan needs to contain enough specifics for the planning board to assess whether the plan, meets the intent of the zoning amendment. So it's a delicate balancing act. My written comments suggest where greater specificity would be valuable, including maximum lot size and building size, energy standards for residences, and performance standards for the stormwater green infrastructure. Secondly, local sourcing of jobs, materials, and food are among the biggest potential benefits to our local and regional economy of the project. I actually just came from the food summit at the college with Congressman Gibson, and it really brought home, how important it is for businesses to procure locally. And a sourcing agreement with the town, I know that this is, Gene agrees this is important to do. I think it should be a condition of master plan approval. Thirdly, green building standards. They're only being applied to the hotel and spa, and I would strongly recommend that the residential portion of the project meet the standards of the U.S. Department of Energy Challenge Home Program and Leave for Homes. A new development in New Paltz actually meets both these standards, and the homes are being sold for, I think, less than what the project expects to sell its homes for. So I think it's viable, and it will, serve the residents that live there in the future. Fourth, the master plan directs truck traffic to the south entrance, but the Water Road intersection with 213 is really problematic because of the angle of the turn. This was raised by Dennis Doyle some years ago, and I don't know, it didn't seem to be addressed, but it seems to me that it would be safer for trucks that come from the Lucas Avenue entrance. And finally, I want to again just point out that while the project's proposed restaurants for guests, make perfect sense, of course, the proposed rail trail cafe, which is meant for rail trail users, I think will be a real disincentive for people to come into town. And in my opinion, conflicts with the comprehensive plan goal of retaining and expanding existing business as a central long-term focus of economic development.